It probably comes as no big surprise that I am a Star Wars fan. I am a Marvel fan. I love just about everything that Disney has bought in the last few years, and I like most of what Disney has made itself. I mean, take a look at the shelf here behind me, and you're going to see Star Wars, Infinity Gauntlet, Disney properties. And by the way, while you're taking a look at the screen here, check out this cool t-shirt. You can buy this at the link down below if you want to pick one up. And when it comes to Star Wars, I love the middle trilogy. I did not really enjoy the prequels, and I didn't really enjoy the sequels. Now, when it comes to prequels and sequels, I don't hate any of them. I don't hate much of anything. Why should I? I have Francis to do that for me. But when it comes to The Mandalorian, chef's kiss. It is perfect. I love that show. I enjoyed both seasons of it. There's a lot of good fan service there. It's got that Western feel, that old school style. It's such a good show, and that's why I'm so frustrated by today's news, because I feel like it means bad things for The Mandalorian altogether. If you haven't heard the news, the young woman who plays Cara Dune, also known as Gina Carano, has been let go from Lucasfilms and will no longer be in The Mandalorian or probably ever work with Lucasfilms or Disney again for what is being called offensive social media posts. Effectively, she's been canceled. Now, when Lucasfilm fired her, they said that the posts that she had made were abhorrent. And they let us know that she is not currently employed by Lucasfilms and there's no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrate people based on their culture and religious identities, are abhorrent and unacceptable. The post that got her fired appears to be this one, which she reposted from another account. It referenced a very dark part of human history, during which time an estimated 6 million people got deleted, and how the conditions of that situation were similar to contemporary political divides. According to the CNN article here, she asked, how is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm not Gina. I can't say what her intent by sharing that was. I can say that when I read it, I took it the same way that Lucasfilm took it. But when I discussed this with you guys on Twitter, you guys took it a little bit differently. Basically, what you guys are saying that she was trying to say is that currently we're in a political climate where people are getting hated for their political views, and that this could eventually progress into a very dark chapter here in the United States. And I agree with that. I do think that's very much the case. You have the left versus the right, very angry at each other, fighting all the time, and it could get considerably worse before it gets better. I do think it's still wrong to evoke that particular imagery in that particular moment in time, but maybe there's a point there that'd be made. It's just a really bad way to make that point. But here's something that I found very frustrating, is that this has been an ongoing problem when it comes to Gina and her relationship at Disney. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Back in fall of 2020, she put something in her Twitter bio that a lot of people thought was making fun of the types of people who tend to want to put their gender identity in their profiles. And again, I want to agree with her so bad, because I do hate how people are just bullying the hell out of each other for disagreeing with each other. Even I've done it at this point, and I kind of hate myself for having done it. So 110%, there's some good energy there. There really is. It's just, again, really stupid way to express that energy. Really stupid way to say it. And if you go look it up for yourself, I'm not going to show it here. She has been fairly Republican as well, fairly conservative, talking about a lot of the Republican and conservative, even like Q talking points when it comes to being anti-mask and being COVID's not real and voter fraud and all of this other stuff, which is fine. I mean, you're allowed to say that stuff. You should be allowed to say that stuff. 110%. I don't agree with any of it. I think it's all make-believe, but hey, that's okay. But she was nearly fired last fall when all of this was going on for the first time. Disney told her to bring it in, reel it in a little bit, back off a little bit, stay off social media. We love having you as Cara Dune. We love putting you in this show. We love working with you, but we can't if you keep doing this stuff. And unfortunately, she kept doing this stuff. Now, if I'm going to be entirely honest with you, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble for doing it, but if I really want to speak my truth and speak my mind, I don't think she needed to be fired over this. I really don't. I think it's okay to speak your heart and speak your mind. Even if what you have to say is offensive, even if what you have to say is stupid and wrong, I think you should be able to keep your job and still say stupid, offensive, ignorant shit. Unfortunately, something I've learned the hard way over the last few years is Not very many people agree with that, especially the kinds of progressives that are throwing around billions of dollars over there at Disney. They are probably not going to like it, especially since some of the producers on that very show were Jewish, that she made this comparison to that dark chapter of history. And that kind of thing is going to get you fired. I do think it's still very possible to be conservative and work for Disney. I really do think that's possible. But maybe, just maybe, you got to be a little more careful about it. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's how it is. And to be honest with you, in my lifetime, the pendulum has swung left and right. Conservatives are paying for their outlandish, crazy stuff now. But eventually, some of the people on the left who have said crazy, outlandish stuff as well will eventually see their time in the firing chair. It's just going to happen. It's a matter of time. And speaking of timing, what I find so frustrating is that The Mandalorian is now at a very good stopping point. And not that Cara Dune was such an important character that the show can't go on, but it's entirely possible here because Pedro Pascal has defended Gina, and he's got other projects that he's going to be working on, like The Last of Us show. It's entirely possible we're not going to get a third season of The Mandalorian thanks to cancel culture and thanks to Gina not being able to avoid getting canceled. I think someone in Gina's position or Pedro Pascal's position or any other position, when you're working for a big profile company like that and you're getting paid millions of dollars on a franchise that's worth billions of dollars with a B, maybe it's okay to not be that politically active. Maybe it's okay to just focus on being an entertainer and a creator. And as someone who's begged them to take politics out of my video games and politics out of my Star Wars, I would love it if the actors took the politics out of social media. Instead of doubling down on it and tripling down on it until you get fired, your character gets written off of the show and maybe the entire show gets canceled altogether. And I'm not defending Disney here. I'm not defending cancel culture. I'm not defending anything like that. I am just saying you have to be aware of the world we live in now, and you have to, unfortunately, play by those rules. Be conservative, but be smart conservative. Be kind conservative. Be generous and loving conservative. Don't be a QAnon conservative. Please. And no matter what side of the political spectrum you find yourself on, whether you're Brie Larson saying that these movies aren't for white men, even though you're starring in a comic book movie, or you're Gina working for Disney, for God's sakes, value yourself, value your job over your right to just post whatever crazy shit you want to post. As someone who wouldn't keep his stupid mouth shut and has fallen on his sword, I can assure you it didn't help things. It didn't make the world any better. I just ended my own career. And it's entirely possible that's what Gina has done here as well. And it's entirely possible that all of those people that were working on The Mandalorian won't get to go back to work for a third season because of this bad press. And if that happens, man, that would really, really suck. The moral of the story is this. The world we live in right now is a very overly sensitive, overly critical world. And unfortunately, I was living in it a few years earlier than anyone else was. So I've got a bit of practice at this. And I have some advice that I want to share. As much as I hate that this is how the world is, as much as I want it to change, it's not going to change anytime soon, and there's very little you and I can do to make that difference. But what we can do is when a big company like Disney asks us to dial it back a little bit so that we can continue to be one of the faces of one of the biggest franchises in the world, maybe we just dial it back a little bit, keep the paycheck. Now, I want to say something to my audience that made it this far in the video. I don't care if you live on the left or the right, as long as you're one of those people out there who is being kind, who is treating other people online and treating other people in real life with love and kindness and respect, then you always have my love, my kindness, and my respect. Please continue to do so. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon.